Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount, and I hope everybody out there is having a great day today. So today's video, we're gonna be doing an introduction into wound packing. Now, for those of you who don't know, our company, we are an NAEMT training site, National Association of Emergency Medical Technician training site. So we teach TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care, and TECC, Tactical Emergency Casualty Care. So we teach people how to treat traumatic injuries. And I highly suggest that you go get some sort of training like that as well. As a matter of fact, the #1 cause of death in the United States between the ages of 1 to 44, the healthiest population among us, is traumatic injury. And the mechanisms are different, right? Everything from car accidents to, accidents at home, accidents at work, those types of things. And you might be surprised that gunshot wounds are actually a pretty small percentage of those. Now, the sad thing about those deaths is that many of those deaths are preventable. If they've been treated correctly, right there, on site, immediately, those deaths could be prevented. And the #1 cause of those deaths is blood loss. Now, if you come train with us or another company, you're gonna learn an acronym or an algorithm called MARCH. That's massive hemorrhaging, airway, respiration, circulation, and hypothermia. And MARCH helps us to remember how to treat a patient, but also most importantly, how to prioritize treatment. And the #1 thing that we have to treat right off the bat is massive hemorrhaging. So today, I'm gonna give you guys a quick lesson on wound packing, or an introduction. All right, this is not a replacement for in-person training. This is actually harder than it looks. There's some nuance to it, and you need repetition to be able to do it competently without having any real stress, much less being able to do it competently in a real world scenario. All right, we have a couple of training aids here. #1, we have a wound packing trainer, and then we have some fake blood. And we use these in our training all the time, and it helps students learn how to properly pack a wound. And we're gonna use these to simulate what took place, and then I'm gonna tie all this stuff together at the end, so make sure you watch this so that you're more informed, you have good information to make better assumptions off of, and we'll take it from there. All right, so one of the misnomers, and this is a misnomer, it's incorrect, I keep hearing from everybody, what took place behind that table doesn't make sense because there'd be blood everywhere, or the people would have blood all over them and everything else. Well, let's figure out if that's true. And by the way, I'm gonna show you a video. Look, there's almost no chance that this video is gonna be monetized. I don't care, because I think the truth is more important because of that video that I'm gonna show at the end, and probably even because YouTube's not gonna like them using fake blood for training purposes. All right, so we're gonna start this training scenario. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna dump this blood all over the ground and everywhere else. You guys see how much of this fake blood, and this fake blood, folks, by the way, it's actually worse than real blood. It will stain your hands, it gets on stuff, all the other, all right? So we did that. Now we're gonna bring you around over here. Again, you can see that was a lot of blood. There's some on the table, there's some down here, it was a lot of blood, but when you have blood on the ground, it's actually pretty hard to see. All right, so here's our wound packing trainer, all right? And kind of approximate of where Charlie was in relation to the table and everything else, right? So I got some blood on my hands already just from grabbing the stuff where it splashed on there. That's fine. And again, unlike real blood, this stuff doesn't really wipe off. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my assistant come around here, and he's gonna be squeezing this bottle fairly hard, all right? We're gonna hold it upside down. He's gonna squeeze this bottle fairly hard. All right, so go ahead and start squeezing that pretty hard. All right, and we see blood pulling up, it's coming out. Even in a real world scenario, I'm trying to find that bleed and I'm trying to mechanically stop it, all right, with my fingers. So I'm reaching in there with my fingers and I'm going to try to stop that bleed. He's squeezing this and there's probably more blood flow coming out of this, but again, I am mechanically stopping, I'm squishing down and stopping the bleed. And this is how you would do this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start what we call a power ball, and I'm gonna put this in here. All right, and what I'm trying to do is press that down onto the vessel itself. And we're gonna start packing this, and I'm just replacing what I got. And I want you to notice, okay, and when we're doing this, folks, I'm doing this slow and I'm talking through this, right? But when we're doing this, what we teach people is, hey, we attack the wound. We're being aggressive with this. All right, so we're attacking this wound and we're putting a lot of pressure on here and trying to stop that bleeding. And what we're trying to do is compress those blood vessels. And I want you to notice how many people can work on this. How many people can work on this one wound? Only one. We can only get so many fingers in there all at once. So I'm continuing to put this in We're packing this. I'm being aggressive about it, but we are filling every bit of void in there to stop the bleeding. All right, that's what we're doing. Right now, there's nothing that anyone else can do. All they can do is help me, essentially, right? So they're helping me. They may be assessing the rest of the casualty, but this person right here is completely dedicated to this and this only. This is all we can do right now. And I'm gonna continue to press all of this gauze, or as much as I need to make sure that we stop this bleeding. We already got one full roll in there, okay? And this is hard work, all right? It's hard to do it correctly. We're getting it in there, all right? And I've already stopped the bleeding. He's still squeezing that bottle. I want you guys to see this. Look, he's compressed this bottle to the point to where, again, he's been squeezing the crap out of it, all right? So we just continue to push this down. We fill every void that we possibly can. So now we end up with this right here, all right? So we end up with this right here. Now I also have to start considering that we're actually gonna evac this person. We're gonna move this person. If I let pressure off of this at all right, all the work that I've done to stop the bleeding and compress those vessels is gonna be done. All right, so now that we got the wound packed and the bleeding stopped, like I have to maintain this. If we disturb any of this, the bleeding is gonna start again and everything we've done has been a waste of time. So how do we put compression on this, on a neck wound, and get a patient ready to move? Well, that's a great question. I'm gonna show you. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna set this off to the side, and my training partner here is gonna lay down. All right, so now we're gonna start preparing this guy for transport, right? So let's say we have this wound packed right there, all right? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up pulling out a pressure bandage. We wanna make sure that we're maintaining pressure. If I have somebody else helping me, which they obviously did, I can either have them open this package for me or they can maintain pressure. All right, and we're gonna pull this out. This is one of my favorite compression bandages. It's called an Elias. All right, and so we're gonna put this right there. Now we gotta maintain pressure on this. We can't wrap it around the neck. That would cause obvious problems. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take his arm, I'm gonna lift his arm up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this underneath his arm. Okay, we're gonna maintain pressure right there. I'm trying to get this as tight as possible so it maintains and secures. All right, so I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible. I'm gonna secure the bandage, and then I'm gonna take his arm and pull it down. And that's gonna greatly increase. Jackson, how much did that increase the pressure? Yep, so again, it's holding that in place. And folks, you can see my hands. With this fake blood, that stains much, much worse than real blood. With real blood, you can wipe that stuff off much easier while it's wet. With this stuff, I'm gonna be scrubbing for hours and I'm probably gonna have it on my hands for 3 or 4 days. So this is much worse. But folks, there is not blood everywhere. We're doing hemorrhage control. He bled on the initial, they got him on the ground and they started doing hemorrhage control. There's probably only one guy out of that entire crew that would end up bloody at all if they were competent and knew what they were doing. And we do have evidence that they have this TCCC training. I'm getting ready to show you in just a few minutes. But I want you to watch this video. This is a real video of someone doing exactly what we're talking about. Notice that the person helping them and the person applying medical care, they do not have blood everywhere. We have arterial bleeding in this video because you can tell by the color of the blood. And then on top of that, neither one of these people have blood everywhere all over them or anything else. With this, at this point, we have one person that got blood on their hands, probably wiped it off on something, and you never see that person's hands. All you see them is back there doing something. It's secure, I can move this person. I have to get this done before I can move anyone. All right, folks, I want you to actually look at what's going on here. You see, I got a little bit of blood on my pants. Yeah, I got some blood on my hands. I hate this stuff, stains everything. Look, we got 2 liters of blood back here. If anybody knows what they're doing, it makes 0 sense that anyone would have any blood pretty much anywhere that would be visible on that video other than their hands and definitely only one person. We have one person that has the ability to do hemorrhage control. Everybody else is just helping out. And they shouldn't be getting their hands bloody, and not everybody's gonna be covered in blood. And by the way, when Charlie was carried out, all right, there was visible blood on his shirt, visible blood on his arm. All right, so with everything that I showed you, we're gonna rewatch this footage, and I want you to reanalyze it through that prism. But let's go ahead and watch this. All right, so first of all, clearly, and this is, slow motion, right? But clearly there is panic in their actions. They're moving quickly. It's exactly what I would expect to see. All right, so we have the guy with gray hair right now. This is where he supposedly hands something off, but I want you to pay attention because he doesn't really hand anything off. So this guy grabs his hand, but you can clearly see, I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know. People do weird stuff when they're panicked. He clearly doesn't take anything. But again, the guy in gray, he is down there. He is extremely task-oriented. And what you can't see right now is there is a third guy right in front of the guy in gray. He's at Charlie's head. So there we see the third guy's head pop up just a little bit. So I'm pausing it right there. I want you to notice how Charlie's arm goes forward now. They had his arm up, they brought it down. And I want you to think back to where I was securing that wound packing with that compression bandage on my son. All right, so I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible. I'm gonna secure the bandage, and then I'm gonna take his arm and pull it down. And that's gonna greatly increase. Jackson, how much did that increase the pressure? Yep, so again, it's holding that in place. All right, so a couple things here. You guys saw me doing the wound packing. I was going real slow, I was talking through that. You can actually do that entire wound packing process in like 20 seconds, especially if you have other guys that are tearing open packages for you and getting everything prepped for you as you go. So you can do that extremely quickly. Also, you guys saw how much I struggled with trying to get that compression bandage around his neck by myself. When you have several people there manipulating heads, moving body parts, and reaching under and grabbing that bandage, you can do that. You can secure that bandage in less than 10 seconds. I want you to notice here, the guy with gray hair and the blue shirt, he has a bag on him. I am 99% sure that that is an aid bag. So he's pulling out med gear. They're treating him on site right then and there. All right, so a couple things from that. Number one, I would not expect there to be blood everywhere and blood all over people, especially if they know what they're doing and they're trained. Now, I know who the guy through internet, so I don't know this guy, but the guy in the blue shirt, gray hair, I know who he is. I know his name, all right? And I know a company that he works for, they teach TCCC there. All right, they teach the same stuff that we do. He may very well even be an instructor. I don't know. Now, anybody working for a decent security company like this, doing PSD, personal security detail work, every single one of these guys are gonna be required to have a TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care certification, and or the company will put them through the training themselves. They'll pay for the training. And that certification is only good for 3 years. It has to be current, helps reduce liability. And of course, it ensures that everybody's using the best practices because that training has evolved. It changes a little bit every single year because we got new evidence-based information coming out and it changes protocols, it changes, new products come out that are better. So these guys are getting at least that certification every 3 years. Now, do I know 100% that's what these guys were doing? No, but I think it's the most reasonable assumption for sure. I mean, everything they're doing, it looks like they are treating. We just can't see them behind that table. So in the absence of information, people are jumping to the most horrendous conclusions possible. They're back there, unaliving Charlie Kirk, that they're in on it, all of these things. And I know many of you are out there saying, well, Gary, you're just defending the security team. You're right, I am, explicitly. I am defending the security team because number one, nothing I see here looks suspicious to me. It just doesn't. And on top of that, I'm actually disappointed in the people on my side of the aisle, conservatives. The last time I checked, I thought we believed in the Constitution. We believed in the fundamentals and principles in which this country was founded. And one of the major tenets that we believe in is that you are innocent until proven guilty. But because we can't see what's going on here, because when people are jumping to the most horrific conclusions based on there should be blood everywhere, it's just not true. All right? We should see exactly what we're seeing here. If they're competent, they know what they're doing, you can treat a casualty and you're doing hemorrhage control. You should have some blood on your hands, a little bit of blood on your hands. We never see his hands. I don't think we ever see the other guy's hands at Charlie's head. And quite frankly, blood is easy to wipe off. It's not like this stuff that stains your hands. When it's wet, you can just wipe it off. This is not, and you're not gonna have blood all over your clothes or anything else. Charlie was covered in blood. There was a lot of blood behind the table. There's no doubt about it. Literally everything that we should see, we are seeing. And look, I am well aware there are gonna be people out there saying, whatever they wanna say about me. Folks, I will not be held captive by this audience. No one is paying me to say anything. Every single thing that I say, every expression that I have, they are my own. So if you don't like it, whatever. Israel's not paying me. I'm not a Fed. None of that stuff. The only person that pays me is me. I will not say something I don't believe for money, and I will not say something I don't believe because an audience wants me to, and it's gonna get me clicks, likes, and all the other stuff. And I get it. Many of you are gonna disagree with me, and because of that disagreement, even though I laid out a very logical, sensible argument, which again, on the right, we were supposed to be the ones using logic and good common sense, but because I'm not conforming to the narrative that you want to hear, that you believe, all right, you're gonna accuse me of all kinds of crazy things. That's just nonsense. I'm gonna tell you what I believe, whether you like it or not. If I'm right or wrong, I'm telling you what I believe to be true at any given time. All right, so the big takeaway here is go get medical training. All right, that is what saves lives. You are 1,000 times more likely to need and use a trauma kit than you will a firearm to defend yourself. And if you carry a firearm, you still need a trauma kit. If you don't carry a firearm, guess what? You can carry a trauma kit. I've carried trauma kits all over the world, all the places where I couldn't necessarily carry a firearm. So it's really important if you want to make sure that you can keep yourself safe, your family safe, and be able to sustain life until you can get them to a higher level of care. You got to have the training, and you got to have training is definitely more important than gear. Don't just go buy the gear and not get the training. All right, folks, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was informative. I'm gonna leave you with that message right there. And hopefully you at least watch this, and regardless if you have changed your opinion or this changes anything for you, great. You still have more information to go off of, which will lead you to a much better, much more accurate conclusion. Anyways, like, subscribe, all those things. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.